Hey everyone. Hi everybody. Welcome, welcome,
Hello,
welcome.
hello.
Fantastic. Welcome, welcome. You're just joining us. You will notice that you're on mute at the moment because obviously we're going to be focusing on Joanna and I sharing things during the call, but we would love you to have your camera on if possible so we can see you. We'd love to see people joining. Hey, just while people are joining in, if you can share in the chat where you are in the world and also what you do. What is the creative thing that you do? We'd love to see that in the chat just while we have a few more people joining. Fantastic. Welcome everybody. If you've just joined us, amazing. Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Few more people joining in. I love it. I love it. So good. Yeah. So sharing in the chat, yeah, where you're from in the world, and also what you do creatively. What is the creative thing? Whether it's a business, whether it's a hobby, we would love to hear more about it in the chat there as well. Fantastic. It's got a few more people joining in, and then we're going to be getting underway
East
soon.
Coast. No one from the West Coast yet. Come on.
There we go. Love it.
There we
LA.
go.
Hey, Carolyn. Fantastic. Hi there, everyone. Great, Erica.
Nice.
I love that. Everyone's popping in. Utah, surface pattern design. Love that, Kylie. So, so good. So all sharing where you are in the world
Oh,
and what you get
cool.
up
Oh,
to.
yes. Hi.
Hi, Elena.
I was like,
Fantastic.
wait.
Amazing. So, so good. Awesome seeing what everyone is up to. So just keep sharing those things as we have a few more people joining us. Where you are. Now, I'm going to briefly share where I am before we get underway. I'm actually in Colombia at the moment, Colombia, the country. But you're probably noticing, if you don't know who I am, you're like, but that's a funny accent, Logan. Where are you actually from? So I'm actually a New Zealander. So I'm from New Zealand, but currently in Colombia, but I spend a lot of time between the States and Europe and occasionally down here in South America, which is fantastic. All right, so we are going to get underway. So over to you, Joanna. Let's take it up.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I am in LA and I run a company by myself called Wink and Wonder. I started in 2013. So I'm a lettering artist, I'm a designer, I'm an illustrator. I've also written a book and I teach online and in person. So I have a graphic design degree. I've been a designer and art director since I left college, which was a very long time ago. And I wanted to do something for myself that was away from the computer. So I taught myself calligraphy and hand lettering. And this is 2013. Instagram was taking off. People were learning hand lettering. I was sharing my process and my work on Instagram. And if you scroll all the way to the front of my feed, it looks terrible. So feel free to do that if you're trying to figure out, where people start and where they can get to with patience and hard work. And then I started to get freelance gigs, and I had a full-time job. So I was taking those freelance gigs and really excited because I realized I could make a career out of this. And then in 2018, I wrote a book. A publisher reached out to me asking me to write a hand lettering book. And because I wrote that book, a shop in Southern California reached out asking if I could teach workshops. So it kind of progressed from there. And then I've taught in-person workshops, and I've also taught online classes for Domestika and Brit & Co. And then I've also joined friends doing live lettering events. So I've been on the Paramount lot. I've done stuff for Nike and Pottery Barn. So all of these things have progressed. And at the end of 2019, I thought, I'm going to go full-time freelance. This is going to be great. And then COVID hit, which I took 2 years to just kind of figure out what I was doing with my life. And this is the year I decided to go all in. I really want to find a creative business coach specifically because there are lots of coaches out there, but I wanted someone who understood what it was like to be an artist, because we have a very different perspective on how we run our business. We want to do creative things, but we don't necessarily want to do all the business stuff. And I really want to find someone who understood that. And then the universe happened to coordinate with me, and I met Logan through Jess Miller's first webinar. And I watched the replay. So hopefully I'm glad you guys are here, and I hope that people get to watch the replay because I actually watched the replay. And Logan had mentioned in that webinar how he understands that creatives love being creative. And we're going to talk about this later, but it's called shiny object syndrome. I love doing everything, and I have a hard time focusing because I just want to be creative. And I realized that that was really holding me back in terms of the success of my career. And so Logan and I started working together. And it's been great. I'm the kind of person, I don't really promote things I don't believe in. So I very much believe in this program. He's helped me create actionable goals that I can work towards. He gives me a sense of accountability. I'm pretty productive, but I work better if someone's like, hey, what are you doing? What are you checking off? You know, what have you gotten done that's moving you towards your goals? And Logan's also available through chat, through email. He's just really there for you as an artist and as a creative business coach. And the one thing I really enjoy is also hopping on group calls, which Zooms are kind of weird anyway. And the reason I like these group calls is because it's all creative people. So you understand where each one of us is on your creative journey, and you just kind of get each other, and then you go into these breakout rooms and you get to talk one-on-one. So I've met a bunch of people through those group calls, and it's been fantastic, especially because I work in a bubble. I work at home, but sometimes I go to a coffee shop and it's just not the same. So I really appreciate those group calls. And then the most important thing is learning more about myself as an artist and what I need to become successful, and not comparing myself to other artists in the program or other artists in the community. So I very much believe in Logan and in this program. And now that I've rambled on, I'm going to turn it over to him and let him take over. So Logan.
So good. Look, it's amazing to be here and really connect with everyone on the call. So firstly, I'm just super excited about us all being on this call together for obviously the next 50 minutes. What we're going to be doing, we're going to run through some really key things around creative business tips. And then at the end, we're going to be doing some Q&A. So what I will do first of all is, you might be going, okay, great, but who are you, right? So I'm going to give you a bit of an intro into myself. So first of all, I do say I'm a New Zealander, or as we're affectionately known as Kiwis. Kiwi does not come from the kiwi fruit. It's actually from the kiwi bird. It's a endangered flightless bird in New Zealand. So there you go, some fun trivia for you. So my background is that I had my own creative company for 11 years in New Zealand. It was in the live event space. It's a business that I built up, took it New Zealand wide. A lot of creative characters, performers, dancers, actors, costuming, pyrotechnics. Really amazing company that I ran for 11 years and then eventually sold. Early on in that journey, I also did my own business masters, because I've always sort of sat in this place of business plus creativity, and I really wanted to see how we could really bridge the gap between the two more. And so I did my business masters, and then I ended up doing a lot of teaching and education work in that space. So helping visual creatives, mostly through the universities in New Zealand. So I was teaching right up to a master's level, lecturing, teaching, facilitating part-time, and also mentoring as well. And that was next to running my creative business for quite a number of years. I then got involved in public programs, and I started running retreats, and things sort of expanded from there. I started created my first coaching program of my own in 2015, and that sort of expanded and grew from there. So these days, since selling that company, I'm now as a full-time creative coach working with visual creatives, and generally I work with people who are earlier stage and they really want to grow their business. So about half of the clients we have on our program are like, hey, I've got this day job, I'm doing a little bit of creative work on the side, but I would love to leave my day job. How can we get towards that? So that's kind of the first half of people we work with. The second half are like, hey, I'm earning $1,000 to $5,000 already per month, but like this needs to work. This needs to grow. This needs to be sustainable. I'm burning myself out. I'm working on weekends. I'm working late at night. I've got a lot of client challenges I'm experiencing, all of those things. How do we take it to that next level as well? So that's kind of the other side. We also have a few people in our program with bigger followings as well. Such as obviously Joanna herself, as well as Jess Miller too. So most of the people, about 90% of people that we work with in our program don't have those bigger followings, but just also really wanting to grow their business. So very much in that visual creative space, we have a lot of illustrators, graphic designers, lettering artists, muralists, some fine artists as well. So very much in that visual space. So, and then as I mentioned, I do run retreats as well. So I had one last year in France, and then this year was in Spain, next year in Morocco, with a good friend of mine who's another creative artist. Her name's Kat Coquelette. Some of you may have heard of Kat Coke. So she's a close friend, and we run the retreats together as well. So that's a bit of a fast forward version of things. I do run my coaching business fully remotely, hence why I'm actually in Colombia at the moment, but spend a lot of time between the US and Europe. Most of our clients, probably about 90% of our clients, are based in the US or in Europe. So we have people from all over the world, but that's where the main people are based, and well, North North America. We have people in the US and Canada, and then throughout Europe as well. Cool. All right, so the one thing I want to share just before we get underway is that we're going to be doing a giveaway. So I'm giving away 5 freebie coaching calls, 5 30-minute freebie coaching calls as part of this to people on this webinar or watching the recording in Joanna's audience, which is fantastic. So what I'm going to do is just post into the chat now. That link there is basically what you need to do if you're interested in basically just entering to be one of the people to potentially win one of those freebie coaching calls. It's worth $300. You know, absolutely love to connect with you. So just fill that in. It takes 5 to 10 minutes. It's a bit of a survey. It helps me really see what people need. And everyone that does the survey always says that they get a lot of benefit from just doing it, from the questions that are answered. You'll get the answers yourself to your email as well, which is great. So yeah, we'll make sure we post that afterwards as well, and again at the end, but feel free to pop that open now so you've got it there for doing after this call if you're interested. All right, so let's jump into it. I'm so excited about this because these are absolutely incredible things that you need to think about around your creative business. So we're going to go over these creative business tips that'll help you to grow, right? So I'm going to be taking you through 5 of them now. Important, take notes, take lots of notes if you want to, but these things are incredibly powerful. And these are things that we obviously teach in our coaching program, but I'm often sharing through social media and different areas as well. So the first one we've already actually talked about, which is shiny object syndrome, right? So this is something I'm going to dive into as number 1. Now, shiny object syndrome effectively is where there's lots of opportunities for you as creatives. There's lots of things that you want to do. There's lots of things that you're excited about. And I see creativity as, look, it's both, yes, like it's your superpower. We need to recognize that. I'm sure everyone here, you're super creative people, you have so many different opportunities, but also one of the challenges with that is that because you have so many different opportunities, it can become incredibly distracting, right? And we hear online, right, you need to diversify. Okay, I'm diversifying, Logan, I'm doing all of these things, right? But how do we balance that diversification with focus? How do we balance our creativity where we're passionate about what we do and we want to do lots of different things with the fact that we really want to build a creative business? And that's whether you want to build what you have now or whether you are in a day job and you want to start. Like, this is a big challenge, and it comes up almost every single client that comes through our program has a challenge around this to some extent because they're highly talented creative people, and there's lots of opportunities. So we're going to share a few perspectives around this. So it is important. What we see is that early on in your creative business journey, focus is one of the most important things you need to do. Okay, so when I talk about focus, I'm talking about focus on what you offer, your products and services. Maybe you've got a day job. Maybe you've got a family that you're supporting as well. Maybe you're early stage in your creative business. You're like, I've got all these things I can do. What we need to do is we really need to focus that down. So something that we teach is really getting focused on probably 2 to 5 core offerings. Okay, up to you how you define them, but 2 to 5. Now, I say the magic number is 3, but there's lots of exceptions to this, right? If you've got a day job or a family that you're really busy supporting, maybe you can only have 2 offerings, and that's okay. One's probably not enough. You need more than one core thing, but actually 5 might be too many. So this is where the magic number of 3, like anything, it depends on you and your energy and your business and what you're doing, those different things. But let's go with that number of 3. Now, sometimes people say to me like, but Logan, 3, like I'm so passionate about these 5 other things and I don't want to destroy my creativity by just doing 3. And I'm like, yes, but this is just for now. We're talking about the next 3 to 6 months because we want to build a foundation of your business that you can then grow into being a lifetime creative, right? Because this is the thing. It's usually 3 things that are going to help you get to running your business full time, right? And now, once you're running a business full time, you've got sustainable income, you've left that day job, you're able to put time and energy into it, and you're starting to make good revenue. And that for people, that's a different number. Usually it's around 5 to 10K per month. Once you get there, you can then expand what you're doing, right? Because you've got more resources, you've got more time, and you can maybe add a 4th product or service, or maybe a 5th. I'm not saying add 5 more at that point, but it's really about what do you focus on now, and then what do you focus on later? So something that we get our clients to do on the program is, yeah, let's make a list of all the things that you can do, but then let's narrow it down. What are those 3, or in some cases 2 to 5 things that you're going to focus on for the next 3 to 6 months? And then we have a later list. Or we have a later list of like, we're not saying you're giving up on these things because we know you're passionate. We know you want to do these things. But for now, let's build your base of your business, and it's going to give you the revenue, the time, the freedom that you want. Now, Obviously, as your business grows, then things open up, but that is a really important part of it. So when that shiny object syndrome comes up and you're like, but I could do this here, great, put it on the later list, right? Because that's something you can certainly do, but probably not now, because what you do need to do to get things really working is get focused, right? So really, really important first thing that we share about. Do you have any thoughts around this, Joanna, that you really wanted to share, in terms of shiny object syndrome and how this has all worked for you as well?
Yeah, my version of shiny object syndrome wasn't necessarily I wanted to offer all of these services. It's I wanted to do a lot of artsy things. I like clay stuff. I like calligraphy. I like brush lettering. I like painting, and I wanted to share all of that because I'm an artist on my Instagram. And I was doing that during COVID, like everyone was, but I was starting to get muddled in my own head. And I forgot that the reason why I had so much growth with Instagram, especially, was that I was focused on hand lettering. And the more I strayed away from that and started to pile more stuff onto my plate, the more people were like, we don't know what you're doing, and I don't think you even know what you're doing. So scaling that back, especially working with Logan and focusing, we know hand lettering works for me. I really want to do illustration, which is a cousin of hand lettering sort of, and focusing on those two because I'm really good at it, and I know that's what those are the kind of jobs that I'm getting, and having that kind of reframing in my head. And I can still do all the creative things. I can do that in my free time. I can share it to stories because that disappears in 24 hours. It doesn't take away from my creativity just because I'm focusing more of my energy and effort into these things that are already making me money for my business. So that was really, really helpful in terms of like, look at all the shiny things, but focus on the ones that are already helping you. And then you can expand out later. So.
Amazing, so powerful, and I just love that you've shared the perspective on that, because this is actually something that we see for everyone, whether people like yourselves who have built these big followings or people that haven't built the following yet. It's still the same principles of focus, right? And I think that's a really important piece of it as well. So that's so good. What we're going to do is we're going to keep moving through. So number two is really, really interesting as well. Number two is all about this idea of mindset. Now, some of you might be like, oh, mindset, come on, Logan. Like some people say, oh, mindset, that's a bit woo-woo. And I'm like, no, this is incredibly powerful. Some of the shifts that you need to make to really grow, maybe start or grow your creative business, they're going to be mindset shifts. Like, yes, it's about what you do and what you focus on and how you market and that whole journey there. But actually, the foundational pieces of that journey, they're all mindset things that you need to work through. Right. And it is incredible seeing our clients in the program as they go through that mindset journey. They're dealing with limiting beliefs that they've got. Maybe they're dealing with challenges they've had in the past that they need to get through and get over. So I'm going to share a really important mindset, key mindset tip that we talk a lot about in the creative business space. And this is abundance mindset. Right, this is so important. Like, this is one of these things that I'm like, yes, there's lots of powerful tips we're sharing today, but like, if this is the only one you remember and take away, like, this is an abundance mindset, okay? Because it's the core of everything. Now, abundance mindset effectively says there is plenty of opportunity in the world for everyone all the time. Okay. Now, the really important thing about abundance mindset is if you believe that, it is true. Right? There's a related saying which says, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, either way, you are right. Okay, so, and we see that when people get into a negative mindset, the opposite of abundance mindset, which is called scarcity mindset, that's the world that they perceive and they experience. Right, so if you wake up in the morning and you're saying to yourself, there's no opportunities, I can't grow my business, there's no clients, no one's buying stuff, we're in a recession right now, nothing's happening, right? Terrible time to start a business, terrible time to grow a business. Like, everything you see and experience that day is going to back up that thought that you have. You're going to notice on news articles that there's negative stuff happening. You're going to see that people are not buying. You're going to notice everything that's going to support your scarcity mindset. Now, if you have abundance mindset, or you focus on trying to have abundance mindset, you're going to see the directly opposite from the same world. Now, I'm not saying there's not bad things happening in the world right now. Yes, there's some difficulties, but there's also tons of opportunities for visual creatives right now, right? We've got lots and lots of people in our programs that are actively growing their businesses right now. And apparently we're in the middle of a recession. Well, in a recession, there is still plenty of money being spent, right? Yes, spending drops a little bit, but not that much, right? There's still a huge amount of money being spent. So there's plenty of opportunities there. But once again, going to your mindset around this, if you're focused on positivity and abundance mindset, that's going to be the world you're going to experience. You're going to notice like, yeah, there's some tough stuff going on, but look at all these good things that are happening as well. Because our minds, our subconscious minds, they will focus on proving ourselves to be right. And they will ignore all the evidence that is against it. Right? So you won't even notice the scarcity stuff if you're in abundance mindset. Okay. And if you follow some of these ideas around abundance, and some people follow the ideas around the secret, they're all related. Right? Actually, it's amazing seeing what happens. And this is where people start talking about things just attract to them. Right. And it is pretty incredible. We've seen this. What's really interesting is that surveys that have been done outside of the business space, right? So this is people who are not, they don't have their own business. You know, do they believe in this magical thing called abundance mindset and how it impacts their lives? There's very low belief in it. But if you talk to business owners, successful business owners, most of them believe in some form of abundance mindset. Right? And it's like, well, they're believing in something and it's working for them. So sometimes people perceive it as like this kind of weird woo-woo thing, but I see it all the time in my own business. We see it all the time in our clients' businesses as well. So it's very much related to positivity and negativity. So abundance mindset and scarcity mindset. Now, it's not as easy as just saying like, well, I'm going to be in abundance mindset, right? Like it can be very difficult because most of the world, most people around you are probably living in what we call scarcity mindset, right? So that's very, very challenging because it's very hard to step out of that if your family and your friends are in that negative scarcity mindset, right? So what you've got to actually do is surround yourself by the people as much as possible who have that more positive and abundance mindset. Can you read books? Can you listen to podcasts that talk about these things, right? And we talk about it being a mindset practice, right? So positive affirmations. You may not believe in abundance mindset yet, or you may not believe it works, but if you can at least have some affirmations or mantras that say things are going to be good today, it's going to be a good day, even if you don't quite believe it, at least it's blocking out the scarcity mindset thoughts. We had one of our group trainings yesterday within our program, I actually shared that, you know, one of the biggest pieces is just to understand when you're in scarcity mindset and notice it. And we sometimes people say that to myself and the team is like, I'm in scarcity mindset right now. I'm noticing. Amazing. That's so good to recognize, you know, where you're at, because then you can work to pull yourself out of it. Did you have some comments, thoughts, and ideas around this as well, Jonah, from your experiences?
I have all the things. So Logan knows this about me. I'm a little woo-woo, and by little, I mean like I'm a lot. You don't see it on my Instagram, but I believe in the universe and manifestation, affirmations, blah, blah, blah. So that was the other thing too that really drew me to this program, was that Logan very much teaches you to reframe your thinking, and catches, even when you don't catch it, catches you as you're going down that momentum of like, I don't have enough, money's not coming in, work's not coming in. It really is a mindset shift, and you can't jump from scarcity to abundance. That's like too far, but you can appreciate the stuff that you have around you now and the opportunities that you see other people having, because if you see that other people have these opportunities, those opportunities are also available for you in a different way, in a different form, through a different client. But we're taught that there's one pie and it's all sliced up, and some people get bigger pieces and then that's it. And that's not true, because many people have shown that their money is infinite. Like, where are all these people getting money from? So it's not like there's one pie and no one's ever going to get another slice. So you have to, especially for me, I really appreciate being on these group calls with Logan in the program, because everyone shares their wins. And I no longer feel like I used to, which was, oh, they got this client for this budget, and how come I can't get that? Instead, when people share their wins, it's like, oh my God, I'm so excited for you. I bet I can do that too. If you can do it, I can do it. And not like, if you can do it, I can do it better. So that sense of competition is replaced by a sense of like celebration. And with that feeling of celebration, you start to attract more abundance into your life, because you're already in that place of gratitude. And that's kind of the thing that the universe will bring more towards you. I could talk for hours on universe stuff, so I'm just going to stop there. And if you guys want to talk woo stuff, you are welcome to DM me. But there really is abundance everywhere. We just have to train ourselves and and kind of demolish these ideas that we were fed when we were little. Like for me, sorry, Logan, for me, I was taught to clean the plate off your food because there are people starving in the world. Or I was taught that, we couldn't drive too far because gas is expensive. So even though those are like logical, pragmatic things, it has scarcity attached to it. And we absorb it when we're younger, and then we practice it when we're older, and then we don't realize that we're doing it until you start to tell these stories in your head. Okay, abundance is everywhere. I'm going to leave it at that.
Joanna and I have talked a lot about this stuff as well, and it is so incredibly powerful, and that's why I go on and on about this stuff. We actually got a couple of clients on the call here as well, and I can see them nodding away, be like, "Yep, we get it." And not everyone gets it right at the start, but as they get into their creative business journey, they really start to see that it's the mindset stuff that is often blocking you from taking action. It's the mindset stuff you need to work through. It's the scarcity mindset that you've grown up with. Like it's a very normal thing to be in scarcity mindset. Just as Joanna said, it's something that you can, you grow up with. Most people grow up with being surrounded by that because of lots of reasons, the world, the upbringing, all sorts of things. But it's really important to notice it. Yeah, go for it. You've got it.
I'm going to jump in because a few people have mentioned your worth. I grew up, I'll tell you this story because I don't believe it anymore, but I will tell it. When I graduated from my BFA in graphic design, the night of my graduation party, my mom, I love my parents, I love my family. My mom said, nursing school is only 2 years, because they didn't understand how an artist could make a living. They still don't really know what I do, even though I share work with them. And I'm like, I've worked for Nike and I've done this. And they're like, that's cool. They don't get it. And it's okay that they don't get it. But being taught as a kid that like art's cool, but do something pragmatic, that's such a story that the older generation was fed and bought into. And that's not our story. So done with that story. Abundance is everywhere and you're worth it.
So powerful. I absolutely love it. So once again, Joanna, we could probably run a whole webinar. Maybe we should do that next time, a whole one on mindset and abundance mindset around these core things. I love that. Awesome. All right, we're going to keep moving through these things. And by the way, just love seeing stuff in the chat. So feel free to engage in the chat and we'll reference it where we can. Add thoughts, comments, ideas, all good. Love that as well. The next one is really interesting. And this is really about this idea of having what we call a premium offer, right? And there's lots of different ways. I sometimes call it a valuable offer, or premium offer, or high-end offer. This is really an essential thing for everyone who wants to grow their creative business. You need to basically have something that you can sell for $300 or euros plus, right? We're aware we've got people here in different currencies as well. So really, $300 US plus. You need to have something available for sale in that realm or more. Right, 300 or more. And I speak to lots of people. I have lots and lots of calls with awesome people who join our programs, people who don't. And one of the big trends that I've seen in the creative space is that the people with the lower level offers, so we're talking about selling things for $5 to $50, and that's the only things you have available for sale, they're really struggling, right? They're finding those spaces are incredibly competitive. And they're finding that they're not able to move towards the space of actually leaving the day job or thriving in their creative business. They're struggling to get to even $500 per month. Now, let's just think about this, right? Because I think when we logically think about why this is, I think it's really powerful to recognize it's a numbers game. How many $5 stickers is it going to take for you to leave your day job? How many $50 offers is it going to take for you to have a thriving business where you're earning $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month? It's a lot. Like if you do the numbers on that, it's a huge amount. And obviously if you're in the product space, that's really hard because you've also got the costs of your product. You've got to take off that. So it's a numbers game. And most people, when they start, or they're early on in their creative business, you don't have a huge email list or even a huge following online. Most people don't. Right. So actually, you don't have a big reach to people. So the small number of people you can reach that are going to be buying your stuff, it's just not enough. Like, it's just not enough to actually reach these numbers that you're desiring. Now, am I saying that you shouldn't have these things? Am I saying that you should just not do these things? I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm saying that you need to also have some sort of premium offer. And often in our program, we talk about a percentage number. It's cool, might be 70% of your energy is going to go on those higher level offers. and then 30% might be on the lower level. Now it's going to be different for everyone. Some people it's 30, some people it's completely the opposite to that. But usually you need to find some sort of what we call a bread and butter. Usually that bread and butter needs to be something that is $300 or more. Now, like every rule, there is exceptions to this. The exceptions that I've seen from talking with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of creative, visual creatives, the exceptions are incredibly rare, right? Like 1 in 100 I've seen that haven't actually paid to this model. Now, even people with big followings online that can sell at those numbers, can sell those smaller items, they still often need to have those higher value offerings to have a successful business as well, right? So even if you've got 50,000 followers on Instagram, usually you still need, and something we've seen, I've worked with a lot of people with big followings, they still need those high level offers as part of it as well. Right, what tends to then happen over time as you grow and build your business, you can diversify and maybe grow some of those smaller offering areas. And eventually you could have a business that is just offerings of $5 to $50, but it's not going to be the thing that's going to get you to leave your day job. It's not usually the thing that's going to get you to $10,000 per month or even $5,000 per month. So just really sharing this, really interesting, thought that I see and experience, a lot from working with a lot of clients. As I said, there's occasionally exceptions, but the general rule is you need something. Now, people say to me all the time, they're like, but okay, I've got these creative skills and abilities. What could that be? That is now your job to figure that out. There is lots of potential of options out there in these visual creative spaces, whether you're in illustration, design, whether in murals, whatever it is in that visual design space, there's always stuff that you can do with your creative abilities. But this is now your job, is you've got to work out what is it. And there might be some experimentation, trial and error within these things as well. Really, really important. Over to you, Joanna. Did you want to share a couple of thoughts around these things as well?
Yeah, because I had the cushion of my full-time freelance job, I had those high offerings and I had the ability to say no to people who couldn't meet that budget. And then I made the jump to freelance. So I decided to shift my mindset and say, how can I be of service and help people? And that expanded my range of the jobs that I would say yes to, because it was no longer, you don't have the money to pay me. It was, how can I help you? And does this align with the service that I want to provide? And actually, one of the things I wanted to talk to Logan about in our next call was, I have this premium offering. I sell $5 stickers. I need to find the thing that's in the middle so that I can expand my reach when it comes to, small business clients, rather than working for the big brands that I work for and doing things on my own, like running my shop, which takes a lot of energy away from me. Now I want to focus on creating like a smaller offering so I can expand that reach. So, it's really kind of like, what are you drawn to and who do you want to work with and how can you be of service, which I think Logan had mentioned before in either one of the modules or on a call. The money that you receive is through service to others. And I thought that was so insightful. And that really helped open me up to the opportunities that are everywhere. Instead of feeling like people can't see my worth and thus aren't paying me, it's how can I be of service and how can I meet people in the middle and provide this opportunity through my art.
Amazing. So powerful. I absolutely love that. And I think just being able to, if we run here, be able to see these real life examples from Joanna as well is so good. So, I think it's a really powerful thing. I'm just going to briefly share. So we actually did an Instagram post around this recently. I'm going to throw that in there. If you're not following me online, feel free to follow us. But this is where I talked about that kind of that offer, that $300 to $500 offer in a bit more detail as well. So if that's something that you're like, wow, I need to think about this, absolutely check that out as well. There's a little bit more detail on that post there too. It's actually a reel, which is good. Hey, the next thing I'm going to talk about really, it's pretty interesting, but it's this idea of basically where you're at and facing the big picture reality of where you're at right now versus where you want to be and versus your dreams. And I have some amazing conversations around this stuff with people. Sometimes I say to people like, great, like where you're at, what does your life look like right now? And they're like, hey, I've got maybe you've got a creative design job, maybe you've got a job where you're employed, and that's totally fine. And you're safe, you're comfortable. And I say, that's great. Like life seems pretty good. And you're like, yeah, it's okay. And I'm like, are you going to do this for the next 20 years? And people are like, no, I do not want to. Absolutely not. Right. And I go, cool. Like when are you thinking about making this change? Right. And a lot of people go, oh, I don't know, maybe in 5 years. Oh, once I've done this thing, once I've paid a mortgage off, once the kids have got a bit older, once this, once that, once I've there's usually always some things there. in the way, right? We can come out with excuses all day around why we're not pursuing that yet. Because of, oh, there's a recession right now. We don't want to build a business during a recession. Well, that's lie, right? That's not true. Actually, it's a great time to build this sort of business. Now, this is a really important thing just to notice. And for everyone on this call right now, just notice where you're at. Those of you that are in day jobs, do you want to do this for the next 20 years? Those of you that are in a business that maybe you are full-time in your business, but you're just struggling to make it work right now. Is that where you want to be at for the next 20 years? Probably not. And I think this is a really important moment to really think about, okay, well, when are you actually going to start taking action on that? Because we can always delay it, right? Classic. What are we right now? 30th of November, maybe next year. Maybe next year, right? Then we get to January. Oh, well, summer, maybe summer, or those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, maybe winter. Winter's a great time to start a business because it's, you know, we're at home, we're cozy, we're not outside, we're not at the beach, right? We can focus. Or what about summer? Okay, no, summer's going to be good because I have a vacation. We're always going to find a reason to put off our dreams because it's incredibly uncomfortable. And this is about facing the big picture of what you actually want in your life. If it's something that can happen later, it's kind of almost easy. Yeah, I'm going to do the thing. It's just going to be later, right? You don't actually have to deal with what needs to be happening now. So I was talking to one of my team this morning, and you know, she shared her version of this, which she said, pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of changing. Right, so that's when change happens. Is when your pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of changing. Right, so often what happens is we see people reach a point where they're like, something has to change. Yes, I'm in this comfortable, cozy job, but actually, it's now no longer that comfortable because I'm missing out on my life here. I'm missing out on the things I want to build, right? And it's usually that's when people make a change, is when they realize that actually it's going to be more uncomfortable to stick around than it is going to be to go and do the things you have to do, right? Because it's incredibly uncomfortable trying to build your own business. You've got to deal with all this mindset stuff, right? You've got to learn all these new things you don't know about. Oh, marketing, sales, finance, right? Those are the things you're going to have to deal with and learn about. Now, something that we see a lot, and I'm sure Joanna, you know, you felt this as well, is like what we hear from people that join our program is that they feel like they put a stick in the ground and they're going like, you know, now is that time, right? One of the questions I actually ask people on you know, an early call when we're talking about whether they'll join the program or not, is I actually say to them like, how comfortable are you right now? And it tends to be the people that are like, well, you know, I guess I'm comfortable, but I'm not happy. I'm frustrated. I'm pissed off. I'm annoyed. Actually, I don't think I'm that comfortable really with my life right now. They're the people that we end up working with because they're the ones who take action because they're like, this has to work. This is my life. I've been having these dreams for years. So just really wanted to acknowledge this idea. And just one more thing I'll share on this before I, you know, hand over to Joanna to share some thoughts. Pandemic changed a lot of things for a lot of people. And that's where I've seen a huge amount of people in the creative industries. Actually, this is when they made those changes. They started their businesses. And it's because life got shaken up, right? Everyone was suddenly at home, maybe with a bit of extra time. And everyone was taking a step back and going, wow, actually, you know what? I don't think these day jobs are actually that secure anymore, right? And actually, I think maybe I need to go do my own thing. Now, obviously, I could go on and on about this stuff here. It's not about just leaving your day job and then going and doing it. No, it's about building it next to your day job as much as you can. And then obviously when you're at that point, you can then go great, and then you can grow it to those next steps. So I can go on and on about that process, but that whole myth of like, leave your day job and start your creative business is like, no, start your creative business before you even leave your day job. It's gonna be way easier that way. So Joanna, do you want to share a couple of thoughts around these things here? Some big ideas being thrown around up here.
I had no idea I was building a business when I started it while I was doing my day job. And when Wink and Wonder was supposed to be a greeting card company, so I guess in my head, I kind of was, but it still wasn't clicking. And even though I got freelance jobs and wrote a book and started teaching classes, I still didn't make that connection because I had such a cushy job. Like if I told you guys what the benefits were, you'd be like, yeah, I wouldn't leave either. And also I had my mom's voice in my head that's like, that job's so good, don't leave it. So I stayed for 12 years. And then it started to crush my soul. And that's when I was like, okay, I gotta pull the ripcord. And freelance was going great. And I looked at all the people who had done the jump before me and I thought, oh man, I probably should have done it then, but now's the time. And I was gonna wait till I got my Christmas bonus. And I was gonna be smart about it. And the universe decided to shove me out the door because my boss decided to downsize because our business was slow. So he cut a few of us, and I was one of them. And I thought, okay, universe is saying now is the time. And so I jumped. And then COVID, but that's okay. And even this year, so I mentioned earlier, this is the first time since having done all of this freelance that I really want to take this seriously. I knew I had to make a change. I had grown my Instagram to 40,000. I kind of left it by the wayside, so it hadn't grown much in the last like 3 years because I was slacking off. I grew TikTok to 20,000 over COVID, and then slacked off because I have this thing where like I want to know that I can get somewhere, and then once I get there, I kind of get bored. And because I was freelance, I didn't have that luxury of being bored anymore. So I knew I had to take the jump. I needed to, rather than spend so much time and energy trying to figure things out on my own, I really, really wanted to have someone who had that experience and that guidance that could show me the way. And I will say, Logan's not a unicorn. He will not magically make clients appear and money show up in your bank account. Like, no one has the capability of doing that. And I believe in all this universe stuff, but he has the experience and the know-how, and he can show you, it's a mirror, right? People show you where you're maybe not seeing things. And it was really, really important for me to take this seriously. If I really want to do this, I needed to take it seriously. And I knew it was a yes for me because I was so pumped. I'm still pumped. Like, I could still talk about this forever. And so for me, that felt very aligned. And I knew that was right for me to make the jump. And if you're happy at your day job, cool. Then, maybe it's not right for you yet, but that nugget, the reason why you're here is because that nugget is like growing inside of you. And when it's ready for you, you'll know, or maybe the universe will shove you out the door like it did with me. But the know-how, and because Logan had a creative business, I just think if you're a creative, hire a creative business coach. Don't hire someone off Instagram who's like an Instagram coach coaching all sorts of different things, or maybe do that. But for me, this is so important to find someone that just really understood this whole process.
I love it. Cool. So powerful, and really great to see everyone engaging with these ideas and in the chat as well, which is great. So look, we're going to share one more thing, and then we're going to jump into Q&A. We're going to have about 15 minutes or so for Q&A. So we'll get through what we can. We have had a few people have messaged us questions already, so we'll start with them. But if you do have a question you want to ask, feel free to fire into the chat. And if we have time, we'll try and cover it during that as well. All right. So what we're going to do now is talk about celebrating wins. Why do we celebrate wins? Celebrating wins is all about building your confidence, and something that we do at the start of our part of our program that we have. We actually have some awesome group coaching community calls that Joanne has mentioned, and at the start we get a bunch of our members, but part of our community members, to share their wins, big or small. I actually make everyone bring along a win, no matter if they're having the worst week of all. They've got to bring along a win, big or small. And this is really important, is to celebrate your wins in your creative business, whether they are small or whether they are big. I sometimes say, like, celebrate the small wins as big as the big wins, because what we're actually doing is we're telling our subconscious mind that we are winners and we can do this. Right now, you're going to all laugh at me when I show you this, but I have a little win bell. Right, there it goes. It's in the blur. This is a win bell I have for in my own business, right? So I'm always celebrating wins, right? This is really important. It helps. What it does is it actually helps you build your confidence, right? To celebrate the wins. Now, a small win could be, you know what? I got out of bed at my alarm clock this morning. Yeah, that's a win. You celebrate that. You dance around the room and celebrate that. Great. That's great. It's going to help you take action, take bigger actions in your day and in your business as well. Right? It's really, really important. And most of us don't. We don't celebrate. Even if you did sign up a client or you've sold something or whatever that looks like, you go, oh yeah, that's nice, that's good. And then you go on, what's next? Well, I want to sell some more. It's like, no, like, dance around the living room, ring a little bell, celebrate these things, because that's going to reward you and your subconscious mind that we're always programming that you are a winner and you can do this. Right? So incredibly powerful, and it builds that confidence. Takes whatever your confidence level is at today, it's going to bring it up to a big notch around higher within this. We're going to jump into question time next, but do you have any quick thoughts around that one, Joanna, just before we move on into the Q&A?
Yeah, and you touched on it, and the win can be, I made 8,000 this month and I didn't know because you had me go through my revenue tracker, or I sold a sticker today for $5. Like, that was the best I could do today, and you know what? That's a great day for me. Took a walk outside to the post office, and that's it. So, but it ties in with our note earlier about abundance and gratitude. that's a win, and that's okay. A win doesn't have to be this whole like life-changing thing. And once you start to get in the habit of recognizing those things, you bring more of that energy to yourself. So I really appreciate that.
I love it. So, so powerful. So we're going to dive into the question. So I know there's a couple popping to the chat, which is great. So we're just going to start off with some ones we were sent through before. And the first question was around how do you stay positive? Right. So one of the things I hear quite often is people say, Logan, one of your superpowers is just positivity, right? Like, now, do I have bad days? Absolutely. I have terrible days sometimes, right? Not everything goes to plan. But when we focus on the stuff we've talked about already, abundance mindset, and when we focus on wins, that can help your positivity. Okay, there's plenty of negative things to focus on, but what are the positive things that we can focus on? Now, I'm not saying ignore the negative, right? Sometimes you've got to go down that deep, dark hole and notice what's going on, notice the bad things, right? Journal about them. I'm not saying just ignore them, right? We don't want that toxic positivity. It's going, no, like, let's also focus on what are the positive things here. So just a couple of tips around that. How do you stay positive? Two things. One of them, celebrate wins, big or small. Maybe go and see if you can find a little bell, one of these bells here. But then also focus on abundance mindset. What is one good thing? And this is actually something I've occasionally even said to friends that we're having a bit of a tough time and we're having a conversation. I was like, I hear you. And they're like, how do I get out of this place I'm in? I'm like, cool, let's focus. What are 3 good things in your life right now? And they're like, nothing's good in life right now. And I'm like, all right, let's find 3 things that are. And sometimes that's what you've got to do. You've got to focus on the good stuff. All right. So really, really important. The dogs are loving the bell noise. Yeah, okay. I love that. Might see if we could rig it before the end of the session as well. We had another question, and maybe this one's more for you, Joanna, but just some tips around growing your Instagram. Like, you've grown a great following. What would be some tips that you would share around growing your Instagram, even moving forward? What can people focus on?
Well, I was lucky in that I was in the like first wave of Instagram. So I just kind of lucked out with everyone learning from each other at that point. But I'm kind of starting over again because I left it alone for so long. I am really focusing this time on creating a community. On old me would not follow people unless their art was good, which I apologize to the universe, but that was just my mindset. I want to be as good as the great people. So I don't really need to follow these people. And I didn't take the time to really connect with them or figure out how I could be of service. So now I'm really concentrating on community. I love actually writing meaningful comments on people's artwork, whether they have 500 people or 50,000. I really like sharing and promoting my friends' stuff, whether I see them in person at a market or I share their Instagram posts. It really is about creating and fostering a community and just showing all of us that there's abundance and support online, even though you feel so detached and separated from everyone else because you're on a phone. We still have this beautiful creative community. So for me, it's posting as consistently as I can. So for me, that's like 3 times a week. Focusing on when Instagram pushes out a new product or a new feature, using that feature because they'll reward you, they'll show your content to more people, and then really building a creative community. So replying to people you look up to, helping people who are newer, and complimenting or sharing their work, and just really focusing on it being a social platform and just being really genuine. Joanna's the best cheerleader. I am the best cheerleader. I will lift anyone up. I'm not into toxic positivity, but I will sure shit be your best cheerleader. So yes. And doing that for people because you thrive off of that energy and it just creates this like nice little vortex of like happy feel good stuff. So the world needs more of that.
So powerful. And maybe we'll roll off onto Hannah's question there. I might jump into that one there, and then we'll come to your one there, BW Smith. So look, Hannah, so you've shared here, do you think focusing on social media is an important use of time? Does it convert to sales? So I'm going to share a really cool perspective around this. It's great, like Joanna shared, her perspectives as well, which is powerful. Now, is social media a powerful thing that you can do to grow your business? Yes, absolutely, right, for sure. Now, it's something that I say everyone should be. If you're in creative business, you really should be on some form of social media. Now, is it the thing that you need to do every moment of every day and rely on as your core marketing strategy? No, not necessarily, right? So we've got people right now on our program that social media is not the core way that they connect with people. Right? We've got people on the program right now who are earning and have grown their business to earn $5,000, $10,000, even beyond that as well. I'm talking per month, without using much social media, and they only post on social media like once a week. Okay, and they don't post reels. And it's because there's other ways to grow your creative business as well. It's not the only way. Is it a good way? Yes. And do we encourage everyone has some sort of presence, perhaps on Instagram? Yes, absolutely. But there's a myth out there which says, you have to post every single day, you have to do reels, you have to do all these things. It's like, yes, you can. That is one way. And it's actually a good way. It's incredibly powerful. You can do it. You don't have to pay money, but there are other ways to grow a creative business as well. All right, so some of the stuff that we dive into and talk about a lot is partnerships. Partnerships is incredibly important, really great way to build a business. Networking. Who do you know? What are the relationships you already have? Can you build a stronger network? And this could be both online and offline networking. Outreach. Outreach is an incredibly powerful way to build a business. Right? When I say outreach, you could be doing it through DMs or through social media, direct messaging, or it could be through email. Email marketing still works. Right? Cold email marketing still works. Really important point. People say, oh, like that spam email stuff. It's like, yeah, but when it's not spam, it's incredibly useful. Right? Spam is just the stuff that you don't want. And we all get plenty of spam emails. We're talking about awesome, creative offerings that you have going to the right people who are interested in what you have. Right? So just to share a few of the different ways is like, yes, social media is something worthwhile doing. Yes, it is something that everyone should have at least one platform that they're focusing on. But is it the only way to build a creative business? No. However, you need to figure out what the thing is going to be. Something that we teach is getting really focused on one form of marketing. That is your core. And then the other things that are what we call our supporting strategies. So if I say to you and I go, well, how do you market? And you go, oh, just social media. Okay, great. What platform? You go, Instagram. Cool. How often do you post? Oh, just once a week. It's not enough. It's not enough. You need to, if that's your thing, you need to go all in. Right? You need to be doing reels, you need to be getting the DMs, you need to be doing collaborations. Like there's a lot of stuff that you need to be doing. And if you're not up for that, there's nothing wrong with it. You can build up to it, but you may need to figure out what are the other things you could test and try. So just wanted to really give that perspective on that as well. Do you have anything extra to add there, Joanna, before we jump into that next question?
Nope.
Cool.
Logan is definitely really good about encouraging you to try different things. So I've started my newsletter and that is something I'm going to be practicing because he's right.
I love it. So good. So I know a question that we got sent in, and this is definitely one for you, Joanna. I think you've actually shared quite a lot of this already, but what is coaching like? Like I'm sure most people actually haven't experienced some form of creative business coaching, but maybe you can just share a couple of quick things around that. I could talk about it all day, what it's like, but I think just good to hear from you a couple of bits from
yeah. I'm so specific about the people I give my energy to, and I appreciate that Logan, this is Logan on a private call. This is Logan on a group call. Like this is his personality. I've not seen grumpy Logan, but this version of Logan, I really appreciate because I feed off his energy. Even if I'm not having a great day or Logan, my greatest win is I sent off a client email. Logan's like, that's great. Now what do we do? So having that momentum and having, again, that cheerleader, as we were talking in the chat, that cheerleader in your corner is so helpful. And again, with the shiny object syndrome, like him reining me in and being like, okay, those are all cool. What are we doing for your goals? That's been really, really helpful. And even in the course of like the last couple of months, I've changed my goals around and he's been like, that's okay. We can totally do that. I think this works for you and this works for you. And you don't need to actually change this, and helping me understand why I might be feeling that way. So really just having someone with experience that I can talk to, rather than just like talking to myself all day. That is sometimes not helpful. And then again, the group coaching calls. So I already knew a few of the people in the group calls, and then the breakout rooms, I got to know them better. And then in real life, I had coffee with 2 of them here in LA. So just expanding the creative community. And even now I didn't think I was going to have this much fun on a webinar. I'm having so much fun talking to you guys. So it's just all of this like creative energy and community and just really like helping each other grow. I just really, really appreciate that.
So, so powerful. Thank you for sharing. I think it's, you know, I can talk all the time about how amazing it is to work with people, but just hearing it from the other side is amazing as well. Cool. So we have time for probably a couple more questions. So I'm going to jump into the next question here, but if someone's got one more question, we can probably answer one more here. And just before we do, we're kind of going to wrap up in about 5 minutes. Just a reminder around, you know, those freebie coaching calls. If you've enjoyed this, like, I'd love you to fill that in. I'd love to, you know, I'd love to get on calls with all of you, but we can only pick 5 people. So fill that in, and then we'll pick 5 people we can have those half-hour calls with. And it'll be half-hour calls probably within next month. It's not necessarily going to be tomorrow or next week, but we'll definitely let you know if you're one of those people chosen. So I encourage you to do that. We'll send out the link afterwards as well, you know, with the recordings too. I think this question is incredibly powerful here. So what is the most impactful step you have made towards success and growth? And I'm going to share my perspective, and then Joanna, you might have something around this as well, perhaps. I think, you know, what's really interesting, right? So I'm a creative business coach, but I've had my own journey around my own businesses and my own journeys and studies and failures and successes, all of those things. I'm also growing a business right now, right? And sometimes people are like, oh, cool, that's right. You've got a coaching business. Good point, right? So that's part of what I'm doing right now. So I get to share and experience, okay, the most impactful step towards my own success and my own growth, but also obviously seeing what works for other people. It's kind of a simple answer. It's deciding. That's literally the answer here. It's deciding that you are worthy of it, deciding that actually, you know what, like, you can do this. There is people in the world right now that are not as smart as you, not as creative as you, not as passionate as you within what you do, who have successful businesses right now and are living the life of their dreams. Right? I'm honest. There's people out there now. Obviously I don't know what everyone's doing here, but this is a really important point, is that there will be people out there right now who are not as good as what they do as you are with your creative skills. They're not as passionate, but they're earning $10,000 a month with creative business, and they're living life of their dreams. And there's people, we've got people within our program that are doing it right now. People who take Fridays off, people who take a month off here and there, but they are growing and they're thriving. Right? This is a really important point. So my answer there is really, it's deciding and saying, you know what, I'm worth it and I'm going to do this. Now, it could take you a couple of years, it could take you longer, it could be quicker. That's fine, as long as you decide that you're going to actually start doing it. And once you decide and you decide not to give up, you will do it. I can guarantee it. I see it all the time. I see it. We've got clients in the program right now. Some of them are having a tough time trying to build their business, and we're supporting them through that. But we know they're going to do it. Maybe it'll take a bit longer, and that's okay too. But they're not going to give up, because they're like, Logan, I'm here. I'm going for this. Like, yep, I know I've got to figure out some stuff. I know I've got to learn some things. I know I've got to deal with some of my own mindset stuff. But I'm going to stick in, and they're the people who do have that success, right? Because building a creative business, it's not easy. It's hard. But once you decide and you have that moment where you're like, you know what, I'm going to do that. It doesn't always happen, by the way. And like, it's not like you're driving down the road and you have it struck by lightning and it happens. It actually pretty much never happens like that. The stars never align. Actually, it's just going, hey, actually, you know what? I think I can do this. And then you build that confidence, you build that knowledge around, you know what, I can. And there might be mantras, there might be practicing gratitude, there might be working on your mindset, there might be building this abundance, right? But once you've decided, you're gonna keep doing it. And they're the people that we see really succeeding. We probably will finish up in the next couple of minutes, but do you want to share some thoughts around that, Joanna, before we wrap up?
Yes, you nailed it. Just really having that moment with yourself where you're like, fuck, I can do this. And I mentioned this in the chat. There are kids on TikTok who are making $1 bajillion. And there are artists who are, and I say this with kindness in my heart, terrible at art, and they're making $1 bajillion. But the difference between them and maybe where you're at right now in life is they believe in themselves. No one can tell them no, because it won't matter. Their confidence in themselves and their dreams and achieving that goal is what drives them forward. And in my woo-woo explanation of things, the universe is rewarding that, because their energy isn't split. It's not, I want to do this, but for those people, and for successful artists or business people, it's, I want to do this and I deserve to do it. And we were talking in the chat about your sense of worth. I am worthy of receiving all the things that I want. I have this dream and I can do it. And it should be like full stop, period. But the way we're taught is, I have this dream, but I don't know if I have the skills, but I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I don't have all of the resources and research and la, 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 la. And the trick for doing anything is to just I want to do this and I'm worthy, and just like full stop. So even with this webinar, and Logan was like, we should really do a webinar. I'm like, I don't really want to. And he's like, no, we really should. I'm like, yeah, but it's the holidays and blah, 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 blah. And I hit a point where I'm like, what am I doing? I'm still doing this thing where I believe in this program. I believe in Logan. I know how much it served me, but I don't want to do it because I'm scared, because I've never done a webinar, because I don't know who's going to sign up, because I don't know if people even want to hear me talking. And so it was just a series of things that I was telling myself that I didn't need to tell myself anymore, and believing that, yeah, we can host a webinar and it will provide benefit, and I can just stop there. And it doesn't have to be this whole like conversation about why I'm not worthy. You are worthy. As soon as you decide it, everything else will kind of like slowly start to fall in place for you.
So powerful. I love what you've shared here, and just, you know, really encouraging you all to really consider the journey of taking where you're at for, whether you want to grow, whether you want to leave your day job, whatever it is, for sure. And we'd love to connect with some of you. So I think most of you have seen that we're just posting in the chat as well. If you want to post your Instagram link in, just a reminder, if you're ever on a webinar like this, don't put the @ tag, put the whole link. It's way easier for everyone to click and follow. So I will leave things open for kind of a minute after we close off, so you can grab links if they're still in there. But really important, follow each other, support each other. This is really, really important stuff. We'll follow you as well and connect up too. But just sharing, you know, your link in there is incredibly important. One more thing I want you to do before you all leave in the next minute is I want you to each share one takeaway. Right, so everyone here, I'd love you to share one takeaway from today. What's been useful, interesting? I know there's probably lots of things, but what has been interesting? What has been helpful? What's been fascinating? Has there been a mindset shift? What have you learned? Anything around this? Share one thing around these things here. I love it. Just decide and do it.
I'm going to throw in a bonus and say share one win, since we're on this.
Yeah,
on this little
I love that.
Train of appreciation. One small win and what you've learned.
One small win and what you've learned. What is a win you can share at the moment? So yeah.
And also, I wanted to share, I've had people reach out to me who wanted to know more about the coaching program. So you are welcome to ask me questions. I will be completely honest. And yeah, we can talk about universe stuff. I will be your cheerleader if you need a pick-me-up, and I will answer whatever questions you guys have.
Amazing. So many good things coming through the chat here as well. So I just love to decide to do it. Be kind online and be generous with compliments. Awesome. Thanks, Linda. Awesome to do the webinar. Absolutely. Diversity, price points. Yeah. So believe in yourself. Stop talking myself out of it. Absolutely. Right. We all talk ourselves out of things for sure. It can be scary. It can be challenging. We see that a lot. I'm seeing Joanna and Logan live. That's awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Love that. Awesome. When new internet friends build a community here, learned new other people's negative opinions. Absolutely. New abundance mindset shift, takeaways, planning to do more, thinking about growth mindset, authentic while building business, Sam. I love that. And new friends. Yes, lots of good stuff here. Amazing. Hey, we're going to wrap things up here, everyone. As I said, I'll leave the window open just for a minute if you wanted to grab anyone's Instagram or drop your own in there as well, and just reading through people's wins. So it's been delightful connecting with everyone. Once again, would love to connect with you all. If you can, if you're interested, fill in that survey. I'd love to hear what you're up to, and then jump on some calls with some of you as well. Awesome. Have a lovely rest of day. Awesome.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Take care, everyone. Whoop, whoop. See ya.